Well, hi there, food friends. It's Kevin.
And Marianne behind the camera.
And welcome to Cavalcade of Food. And Mare, we are making today Modern Eve's Apple Roll. Quite a name, isn't it?
Yep.
Let's just say it's an apple roll. But it's called Modern Eve's because that is the name that the recipe was given in the, not sure what edition, White Lily Flour Cookbook. And you know our good buddy Hans in North Carolina. Hey, Hans. This was something that his grandmother, Miss Eva Powell, would make and was the absolute delight to everybody who had the opportunity to have it. And Hans said that these were fantastic. And you know, Mare, when Hans says something's good,
it's good.
It's good. Okay, so Hans, thank you for sharing this recipe. That was your grandmother's, Eva Powell, but the recipe is Modern Eve's apple roll. And so we're going to get started here. The first thing I want to do, well, it's an apple roll, so guess what, Mare? We are going to need apples. As a matter of fact, 2 cups worth of finely diced apples, okay? Now I got those diced up just about as fine as I could manage, and so I'm going to follow the recipe here almost to the letter, which is something I like to do when trying a recipe for the first time. So to the 2 cups of finely chopped apples, I'm going to add a teaspoon here of grated lemon peel and a tablespoon of lemon juice. I don't want any seeds, so I'm going to. So when you put in a little bit more, just okay. So a tablespoon of lemon juice. So when you are zesting a lemon or any citrus, and you also need to juice it, always zest it first. Because once you juice it, there ain't much left of it. And it's really hard to get off that zest, which is where all the intense flavor is. Now, Marianne, you can probably guess why we are doing this first and putting the lemon juice in with the apple.
So the apple does not turn brown.
Correct. Lemon juice, the acid in the lemon juice will help keep the apple its natural color a little bit anyways. Okay, so we're just going to set that aside. The next thing we've got to do is we've got to make a syrup, or how have we heard it said? Syrup, but up here we say syrup. So I've got a cup of water, which I'm going to put in this pan. And to that, Mare, I'm adding 3/4 of a cup of sugar. And let me just get that stirred. And I'm going to keep an eye on it because what we want to do is we want to bring this up to a boil. And we're going to cook this for 5 minutes. So this is really kind of a simple syrup thing we've got going on here. And I just want to make sure that that sugar gets nice and dissolved. So, all right, like I said, we're going to bring that up to a boil, and we're gonna let it cook for 5 minutes at the boil. Okay, now I tried to, like I said, I'm trying to stay true to the recipe as much as possible. And really, there's only one variation I'm making. But it is a recipe from white lily flower, from a white lily flower cookbook. Hans, I think you have a copy of the cookbook. I don't know if there's a date on it. Looks to be, from the 40s, maybe the 50s. Anyways, so Marianne, we are using white lily flour in this recipe, which is a southern brand, and it uses soft winter wheat. Up here in the north, our flours here tend to use harder wheat or a blend of wheats, kind of for all purpose. I'm thinking of flours like gold medal and such that are common here. In the South has all kinds of wonderful flours and mills, which Hans and some of our other friends have turned me on to, the wonderful flours that are milled in the South. Of course, we have King Arthur and a number of other really good flours up here in the north. So, you take a little sip of coffee. But anyways, I saw this recipe, Mare, and I thought it would be really nice for the holidays, Yeah. But really probably good anytime. So, the recipe calls for 2 cups of sifted white lily flour. Well, I've sifted, now this is coming up to a boil, so let me just turn my attention here. Turn that down a little bit, and we'll let that simmer away. And that needs to go 5 minutes. So, you know what I'm going to do. Okay. So, anyways, people have asked me, and I really do love the questions and the comments, and I try to read them all and respond when I can. But they said, how do you measure flour? Well, there's all kinds of different methods. And generally what I do is I do a spoon and a level technique. So now this recipe says it wants 2 cups of sifted flour. So I have sifted this flour. And it's going to get, here's my sifter. It's going to get sifted again because I'm going to sift it with the flour, sugar, baking powder, and salt. So let's start with our 2 cups of flour that has already been sifted. And honestly, most flours now come pre-sifted. I think back in the day, flours sometimes were not sifted coming out of the factory or not sifted well. And then I use just a dinner knife there. And okay, so that's how I measure, and that is our flour. So we've got 2 cups of flour. To that, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of sugar. And then I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of baking powder. And then finally, a half a teaspoon of salt. Okay? So, that's all in the sifter. I have a lot of flour sisters. I almost said flour sister, didn't I, sister? Yeah. I have a lot of flour sifters. This is one of my favorites. This is an old Foley flour sifter. It uses sort of a spring action here to sift the flour through. See how can you see the inside there, Mare?
Yeah.
And you it uses a squeeze or a trigger. A lot of the older sifters that I have too are hand cranked, which are absolutely fine and work great. Okay, so we've got our dry ingredients here. Now what I have to do is put in, it calls for 3 tablespoons of shortening. So like Crisco, okay, vegetable shortening. So a lot of people don't like shortening. They're scared of it, or because it's not healthy, it's fat. It's not as bad as it used to be because the way they used to hydrogenate it made it more unhealthy. They no longer can make it that way. But I'm here to tell you that what I'm going to do is I'm going to substitute, instead of 3 tablespoons of shortening, I'm going to use butter. And can you do that? Yes, you can. And we want to make sure the butter's cold. What? Is that 5 minutes already? Holy smoke. Okay. Let me take that syrup off the heat. Okay. You want to make sure your shortening is cold, whether it's vegetable shortening or, like I'm using, butter. And you can use them interchangeably. The difference is when you use something like vegetable shortening, Crisco, that is 100% fat. Butter is about 80% fat, regular American butter, and 20% water. So there's less fat in butter than there is in Crisco. So what does that mean? Well, generally it means that you can expect it to perhaps change the texture of certain kinds of baked things. Where I think it's most noticeable is in cookies. A cookie made with vegetable shortening tends to be firmer. It doesn't spread out as much. It's not as soft. Where a buttery cookie tends to, Mary, you know how when we make chocolate chip cookies with butter, right? They tend to spread and they can get thinner. A shortening cookie doesn't tend to do that. With something like this, I think the difference will be less. So I'm using 3 tablespoons of butter. And is it salted or unsalted? I can't remember. And I'm cutting it in, okay, as if I was making pastry dough, pie crust, okay? We're going to cut this butter in. I like to use a pastry blender for this job, and you could use your fingers. You could use a couple of knives if you wanted to. I don't like to use my fingers too much because I'm hot, baby. I'm hot stuff, and it melts that butter. This way, the butter is able to stay colder a little longer. All right, Mary, I'm going to keep doing this until I get this butter kind of cut in the way I would like it. And when I say cut in, I mean not like may I cut in a dance, but rather incorporated with the dry ingredients so that you have little clusters of flour and butter, and it's more kind of granule. All right, we'll be right back. Okay, sis, let's see. So I don't know if our food friends can kind of see that, but now the butter is in very small little bits throughout the flour, and we're going to leave that like so. Now I have a half a cup of milk, and I'm going to add that to our mixture here, and we are going to get another spatula. We'll use this one. And we're going to make sort of it should come together as a soft dough. So the recipe says. How am I doing, Hans? Does it seem about right to you? Okay, see how it's coming together, Mare?
Yep.
So you want to try to get all of that flour moistened with the milk. And see, you want that butter, you can see the little flecks of butter in the dough, can't you? Maybe I can. I don't know if you can or our food friends can. But you want that because when the butter will melt as this bakes, and then as the butter melts, what will happen is that you will, that's how you get kind of a flakiness, which is what we want. All right, so now I'm going to turn it out into my board. I've used this little tool a lot over the years, and people ask me, what is this thing? It's called the Jiffy Sift, and it was made by Tupperware. And so if it was something you could order. All right. We're going to turn this out. And we're going to bring this dough together. And it says, knead gently for a half a minute. Well, that's not very long, is it? So I'm going to knead gently for a half a minute. Again, I think it's like making biscuits or anything like that. You don't want to make the dough tough, so you don't want to over knead it, but you just want to be able to bring it together. Okay, I kind of think that's about it. All right, now we have to roll this mare into a rectangle, 1/4 inch thick. All right, so that's what I'm going to do. Let me get my rolling pin and I will be right back. All right, sis. We are supposed to roll this out into a rectangle. Shapes were never my greatest thing, but we're going to try. About 1/4 inch thick, it says. Does that kind of look rectangular? Maybe a little? Let's see how we're doing on thickness. I think we're about good. Yeah, I'll take that. Okay. So, now we've rolled it out into a rectangular shape. Spread with apple mixture. That's this. So we are going to it smells so good because you're getting the apples and you're getting that lemon too. I'm going to try to kind of come out to the edge. You know, if you want something that looks perfect,
Go to a bakery.
yeah, buy it at the supermarket or go to a bakery. But if you want something homemade, here we go. All right, I'm going to use this is a great tool. I'm going to, now it says roll jelly roll style, okay? So we're going to roll this up like so. Okay. I don't see that filling's coming out, so I'm going to try to tuck that in at the end here. Do a tuck. All right. So now we have our log. Now it says, cut into 1-inch slices. So we are supposed to get 12, right, Mare?
Right.
So 1 inch times 12 is 12 inches, or 1 foot. Thank you. So, and, well, golly, look at that. Okay?
Okay.
So we are right about there. So I'm going to use my scraper here to try to do this. 1, I'm going to do it down here. So, a ruler is a good kitchen tool, especially if you're baking. It seems like I would not want to be in a kitchen without a pencil or a ruler. Okay.
This one totally split open.
Okay, well, you know what? How's that?
Better.
We got to show it who's boss. I mean, I don't know what else to do, right? Now, cut in 1 slices, pour syrup in baking dish, and arrange slices in it. Well, it doesn't say, it just says baking dish. I've got an 8x8 here, or I've got a 9-inch round. I think I'm going to go with this. I don't know.
You could do three rows of 4 in the square one.
Yes. Okay. I just feel more comfortable. I want to make sure I have enough room. Okay, so here is our sweet syrup. We're going to pour that in the baking dish. Oh, by the way, the oven is preheated to 375 degrees. Okay? So here we go. One, 2. Some of them are a little bigger than others because the ones on the end. So I tried to roll it evenly. We've got some floating apples in here, which is okay. But lots of apple. And you know, they will expand a little bit. Okay. And last but not least, yeah, I think this was the right pan to use. Then it says, sprinkle with cinnamon sugar and dot with butter. So I made up, it doesn't say how much, I just made up a little cinnamon sugar, which of course is ideal for apples. So cinnamon sugar is about 2/3 sugar, 1/3 cinnamon. That's the ratio I like to use because we like cinnamon, don't we, Mare?
Yes.
Okay. And then we're going to dot with more butter. Well, I don't think we can go wrong there. So here's, I'm going to let's put a nice little dot of butter on each one of these. What do you think, Mare?
Yeah, so it'll melt in.
Yep, it'll melt in. So this is probably, you know, another, I don't know, tablespoon and a half, 2 tablespoons of butter. It's a small one, so it's going to get 2. And then it's in that nice syrup. Okay. Well, we're going to bake this for 25 minutes and see what we get. In it goes. Modern Eve's apple rolls. Recipe from our buddy Hans. And it's in the oven now, Mare. So 25 minutes on the timer. We'll come back and see what we got. Okay, Mare. I checked it at 30 minutes, or was it 25?
25.
And I thought it needed another 5, so it's been in 30. And ooh, they are bubbling and a sizzling away. Look at this. Wow, holy smoke. Check that out. See how they all kind of puffed up and baked into each other.
Yep.
So
they look like cinnamon rolls.
They kind of do. And if you wanted to, you could probably, I think they're going to be sweet enough anyways. Yeah. You could probably put a glaze on them. Mm-hmm. But, wow. So, they're still bubbling. So what we're going to do is we're going to let these cool for a few minutes, although they'll be awfully good warm. And then we'll dig into our Eve's Modern, or is it Modern Eve? Modern Eve's apple roll. Well, what do we think, Missy? I think it looks good. Sure smells good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'm going to go in for this corner piece right here. And let's just take it out. I'm going to try to get it. It's still warm, so we're not, maybe I'm being too impatient, but I still want to try this. All right, let me try to do it like this. Here we go. Wow. See that? Now, it's almost like a biscuit consistency, Mare. You see that?
Yeah.
With those chunks of apples in there. Wow, is that good? This is really like a sweet apple biscuit. Hans, you were right. To you and your Grandma Eva, this is the apples still have a little bit of a crunch to them. And then, of course, the syrup, the butter. Wow. We knew Hans wouldn't steer us wrong, right, Mare?
Right.
So, this is really good and perfect with a cup of coffee.
And the apples absorbed all that liquid, too.
They did. Look.
It's all dry.
See the bottom? It's, you know, all that syrup got soaked into the biscuit. It really came out Nice. I wasn't sure what to expect with this. Um, on paper, sometimes the recipe sounds good, but until you make it. But like I said, Hans vouched for it. So thank you, Hans, for the recipe. This would be really good Christmas morning, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Certainly fill the house up with a wonderful smell and something warm with the coffee. Yeah, terrific. So thank you, Hans. Thanks to Hans's grandma for making this dish and leaving a long-lasting impression in Hans's mind as to the deliciousness of these apple rolls. Thanks to my kid sister,
You're
Marianne.
welcome.
Thank you, honey. And speaking of sisters and family, on behalf of Marianne and me and Ralph, and I just, from our family to your family, we want to say Merry Christmas, right, Mare?
Right.
And we wish you all the best in the new year. And forgive me in advance. I'm going to try to keep on schedule here with the videos, but it's the holidays and I've got company galore and lots of fun things going on, but I'll try to keep on getting a few videos in over the holiday weeks here. So we appreciate you watching. Mary, let's tell them about that website.
Cavalcadeoffood.com.
Right on, sister. And go there, check out everything that goes on around here at the old Cavalcade of Croswell. And again, Merry Christmas. Have a wonderful holiday season, everybody. All the best to you in the new year. And we will look forward to seeing you again real soon, right back here on Cavalcade of Food. Bye, everybody.
Bye.